What's poppin'? I'm out here in Taiwan, again, but this time around, I guess a couple things have happened since the last video. First off, I definitely took for granted that Airbnb because I was thinking, damn, you know, we have this place rented for an entire month. I'll have so many chances to film around in it and give some tours, but that time passed really fast, and we're already moved up out of there, and my brother this morning has flown back to the US. So this is all happening very fast, but yeah, that's basically what's going down. And in the last couple days, I have been making my moves, I suppose, on the free Wi-Fi in the grocery stores, contacting people in California and Las Vegas to make sure that when I get back, I have some sick-ass content to be filming, because, yeah, you know, like, it's really crazy. I'm really glad that this happened, because I really do think I took living in America for granted so hard. Like, there's so many people around here, I'm seeing them, and it's like they have no end in sight for these studying like 12 hours a day, getting home, having a bunch of homework, and then that's 6 days a week, and there's literally no end in sight for them for the rest of their lives, and like no way to escape that, or even visit outside of the country, or, you know, even dream of visiting America. Like, the only reason why I exist was because my mom was the top one, okay, I don't want to exaggerate, I don't know the exact whatever, but she was like top, tippity top of her class in high school to even be able to make it to college, and in college she had to be the top of that class to even have the chance to come to America and then get a second bachelor's while in Massachusetts, which had heavy racism and sexism, on top of her raising 2 kids. It's like, that's fucking crazy. So I definitely took living in America with no rent for granted, and it's crazy because, you know, my biggest excuse was, well, I'm working harder than all the people around me, but that's no fucking excuse because they weren't doing shit. So anyways, off with that tangent, when I'm going back, I'm gonna see all this stuff, and there's still gonna be comments of people like, oh, I'm so jealous, I wish I could be doing that, but you don't get it. Like, the hard part is to even be in America in the first place. And then once you're there, if you're only a few hours drive from like New York, California, like, that's so crazy to me that when I get back, literally all that will have to happen is you get in a car and you pay for gas money and you drive to a place. It's not like you have to get a green card, you have to get approved to even get into the country. And now with Trump, I don't want to get into the politics, but, you know, there's some Middle Eastern people where, you know, that's getting a little bit harder. Like, that's some batshit crazy stuff. But anyways, I don't know, I didn't really have any plans on what I was going to talk about in this video. I will drop a little piece of sick edited content though that I made in the last couple hours. So we went out 2 days ago, I think, right when I got back from the island Kinmen. That was like that military Taiwanese island that was like this tiny and tried to fight off China, which is this big, and they actually succeeded because China flooded in, took over basically the whole thing, and then when there's just a little bit left, they're like, fuck, this is our survival, and then they just like took the entire island back and fought off its country this giant with an island that big, which is crazy stuff. But I got back from that, and then I went to Taichung, which is where my mom grew up, and her brothers, and yeah. So anyways, while there, we visited an in-law, and they had a fucking insane house, 4 stories with a urinal and an elevator inside. It doesn't even make sense. But while there, we were like, okay, let's go out, let's have some fun. We get on the train. Apparently, this is left over from the Japanese infrastructure. So this is what happens when you're a tiny island. When you're not America, you can't just be like, fuck all you, and like not be scared of people invading whatsoever. Like, America will not have that fear whatsoever. But before the whole China invasion in Taiwan, the Japanese were taking over, and they kind of said like, oh, this is our stuff. So yeah, it's kind of trippy because the train stations and the rails that are still being used today were left over from that like decades ago, and that's what we were on. They weren't like international. Basically, it's not like the normal train tracks, which are like internationally used or universal. They were like super old ones, and my parents said that before I was born, by the way, that when my brother was a kid, that was the only entertainment that they could pay for, which sounds crazy, but they had no fucking money. My dad was just like tired as shit from working every single day, and he's an American out here, and he was facing heavy racism, which is kind of weird to think about because he's like the whitest dude ever. And then he said as he was walking home from work, he had to carry 2 big ass sticks because the stray dogs would come in like packs and kind of surround him. And there's still stray dogs out here, but it's not that scary. So this is like real life. Like right before I was born, my parents were dealing with this type of stuff, and they had no money, dirt poor, in Taiwan, couldn't even get off the island. And then on like a Saturday, my dad would have the day off, and he'd just be like exhausted, and he said the only money that they had for entertainment is they would go onto these old trains, and they would like sit on the train and kind of like chill there because it's kind of novelty. At the time, they were like 30s trains, so they're coal run, like with steam and whatever. So at least that has changed. They're like diesel electric now. Anyways, we rode this train, right? That's basically what I was trying to say. We got on a train and we rode the train, and we're like, let's go to this place from this place, because out here there's some beautiful stuff that we can take pictures of. And everybody was hounding me. They're like, why didn't you take your camera? What the fuck is wrong with you? This is a beautiful place. But I have a strong intuition, and my intuition told me to not bring my camera that day, and that's why the footage has been shot on my uncle's camera, but that's beside the point. So as we're getting on the train, we see this like dark fog rolling in from that direction. We're standing here, this is all blue skies and beautiful sunlight, and then we look at the direction that we're going, and it's just like black, and we're like, are we sure we want to do this? And I'm like, yeah, don't worry about it, it'll be fine. So we hop on the train, and almost immediately it's just getting like fucking rained on, and we're looking outside, and it's almost like Jurassic Park, like palm trees and giant mountains and like forested areas and like just soaked with rain. And then we get to the stop, and then the door opens, and there's literally just like a wall of water coming down off the train, and we're like, well, I guess this is where we get off. And like we hop off, and we only had a select amount of umbrellas, so we had to play like a relay race of like, okay, you grab that guy, and then we walk over to the safety area where there's a roof, and then you come back, you pick up another person with your umbrella. So we like relay race with the little bit of umbrellas until we got to this kind of like tourist looking area. But I don't know, in a weird way it worked out very well, because my mom is stubborn as a motherfucker, so she would have insisted that she could keep walking, but you know, in her condition, she definitely shouldn't have been doing too much more exercise. So she was chilling out there with her childhood friend, which was her neighbor when she was a kid, and that was really cool, because they got to talk all the while we went out and explored all this stuff. And then we saw like some woodworking that they had. We saw like these old stuff made out of wood. And apparently what happened was this wood was native to Taiwan, and this tree only grew here. And of course, naturally, like anything that's beautiful in the world, people were like, hey, that's really cool, and they came in and they took it. The Japanese came in and they realized that they wouldn't have that much of a hold over Taiwan for too long, so they cut down all of these motherfucking trees that only grew here, and they shipped them all the way back to Japan. So there's none of these trees left here anymore, but there's still these stuff like remnants, chairs, little Buddhas, all of this stuff that were carved from the wood at the time that it was still here. And I don't know, it's such an interesting thing. I think the wood was called cypress. It was like a Taiwanese cypress or something. And now it's actually illegal to chop down those trees because it's so rare. Anyways, here's some footage from that. I hope you enjoyed that. You know, I tried to put a little bit extra into the editing on that little bit. And yeah, I don't know. If you've seen those transitions before, they're usually on channels where the dude only posts like once a month, which for me personally, I like watching those channels. I don't spend a lot of time on YouTube, so I watch like those 1 minute really edited videos. But from the perspective of a creator, like, I don't know, I want to have consistent stuff coming out, but I definitely want to improve my quality. So I hope that you enjoyed those transitions going down in there. Let me think if there's anything else that I would like to mention. But yeah, I mean, that's basically it. I hope that was kind of like a little bit enjoyable. I think that's what's interesting. Like, I'm gonna be 100% honest. Like, today was a little bit stressful. We moved out, like, so okay, it's not that stressful in comparison. Like, last night, my brother and I were binge watching Conor McGregor shit talking videos all night, so he only got 2 hours of sleep. And then he wakes up at 5 a.m., has to get on the plane, so he's currently in that plane ride, the 12-hour flight to California. It's gonna be nice, because he's like, okay, I get to take my well-deserved break in California and just breathe for a little bit. The only problem is he's going to my uncle's house, and that's not the problem. My uncle is awesome. The problem is his wife, the in-law, is a total control freak. So instead of him getting to like go chill at the beach and stuff, they gave him a shitload of errands to do, and he's like, so I will have to watch myself, because that's the place I'm going to when I'm flying back to America. So I'm gonna be high as fuck, just reeking every night going there, but I'll just be like, if you don't like it, so hopefully that works out, because I've been talking to that aunt a little bit today, and she's like really concerned about my life, which is hilarious, because like, I don't care what anybody thinks, but even though I don't care, like, my parents fully support me, and that's amazing to me. Like, I really do not take that for granted. It gives me a lot of strength to do what I'm doing, but I'm like, really, like, my parents fully support me. I never even see you in my life. Why is this aunt like trying to be all like concerned about my shit? But she's asking me about my plans, and I'm like so happy with just like actually telling her the actual plans, because she's like baffled. I'm like, yeah, I'll like go to America, and then I'll like be in California, and I'll go to Vegas, and then I'll get my car in Iowa, and then I'll just drive around. And she's like, that's not a plan. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm doing. She's like, you can't do that. I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm doing. So the upcoming months are gonna be crazy. I hope you enjoy these, and like, I don't know if I've said this enough, but seriously, the people watching this, thank you so fucking much. And not even just thank you as in being my viewers, but on a whole other level. When I first got up out here, and I was posting on Snapchat, like, you know, I can't smoke out here. Apparently it's not the death penalty. That changed since the last time I Googled it, but it is minimum 7 years here. And that's not like American jails where they're like, you get 7 years, and then you serve a year, and they're like, okay, probation and community service. Here they're like, no. Like, minimum fucking 7 years. We'll throw you in a shithole, and like, you can't really have like a fair trial. It's not really like how America screws you super like through taxes and all of that kind of stuff. It's like they will just like throw you in a shithole. So anyways, I can't smoke out here, definitely. There's been comments that are like, it's illegal where I am too, and I'm like, okay, yeah, it's been illegal the whole time I've been doing Stoned Alone, but it hasn't been illegal like this. And because of that, I've gotten a lot of Snapchats from people like, yo, I hope that your entire audience doesn't just up and ditch you. And I'm like, me too. But on some real shit, like, thank you for sticking around on this, because like, I personally think that these videos are fun, and I've been working as hard as I can on them because I don't have the smoking content. So I kind of have to compensate with good editing and sound and stuff instead of just what I'm smoking on and stuff like that. But basically, when I get back, it is going to be so fucking beast mode. I don't know how many people I'm going to actually link up with, but I'll tell you for sure that I contacted the High Hipsters, Cali Cannababe, Audrey from Oshi Tokes, Oasis in Las Vegas, and Kawaii 420 in Las Vegas, Slower Future in Las Vegas. So, you know, I don't know how much of this is gonna come through, but I'm gonna do everything that I possibly can to make the sickest possible content for you guys to see. I'm so fucking excited. And yeah, I guess that's a good segue. I will mention the Patreon again. Thank you to all the patrons. My phone's dead, so I can't view the actual ones, but I know for sure that like Owen Hill is on that. He's been on that for supporting me for like ever, and I mean, that's just some really real shit, and that's amazing. And I have some really good support, and you know, in California I have a spot to live and stuff like that. But other than that, like, this could be really fragile, like, because I have all these great plans in my head, but if I don't actually hustle hard enough to support myself to make these dreams happen, I could very easily end up like not good. But I'm not thinking about that because that's not gonna happen. But thank you so much for watching these videos and supporting me. This is an unbelievable dream, but seeing how a lot of people live out here and how fast life just flips by, there's no reason to not go all the way in and get all of this stuff happening. So thank you for watching this. Thank you to all of the patrons for keeping this going, and I'll see you around. The next coming months will be fucking insane for Stoned Alone. This is gonna be a lit year, so check you around. It's gonna be always progressing and progressing and accelerating and accelerating, and I hope that you enjoy sticking around for the ride. Peace out though. This has been Stoned Alone. I'll check you around. See you later.